As we celebrate America's 244th birthday, it's important to remember that this is not the first time Americans have celebrated Independence Day amid nationwide civil unrest or a global health crisis. Joining us now for a look back at some of the history's most unique celebrations is presidential historian Doug Wead. Mr. Wead, thank you so much for being here for this discussion. As I mentioned to you right before we started doing this, I'm right in the middle of reading The Great Influenza, the book about the 1918 flu, and it's just so interesting to look back at that. And I'm also wondering, how did they celebrate the 4th of July during a situation that's similar to what we're going through right now?
Yeah, Alicia, it's a great story. And some could argue and do argue that Woodrow Wilson did everything wrong. It was more of the peak on July 4th, and he urged mayors and governors all across the country to have parades and to get people out. He went to Mount Vernon and gave a speech. The French had a big parade in Paris at Wilson's urging, and hundreds of thousands showed up. And of course, it spread the pandemic. Many died. The experts warned Wilson, if you put those young men on ships and send them to Europe, more will die on the ships than will die from bullets. And it's what happened. But he felt he had to do it because he was trying to raise volunteers for World War I.
Well, and right now we're in the middle of a presidential election. And as you were saying some of those things, I could hear the president's critics finding parallels themselves, because while we aren't having parades, the president has held events in Tulsa, Arizona, and at Mount Rushmore. What do you think of that? How do you think history will look back at what we are doing today versus how we look back at 1918?
Well, we're later in the pandemic, so it's different. The timing is very different. I think that will help him. I think all of this statue and mobs in the streets, him going to Mount Rushmore was an important statement. You know, let's change hearts, not stone. And you see now the mob turning anti culture. You know, Marx said, talk politics, but change the culture. And now we have Joe Biden and the Democrats refusing to defend Mount Rushmore. Washington, the founder of our country. Jefferson's the founder of the Democratic Party. Until last year, Democrats held Jefferson Jackson Day fundraisers. And it's odd. St. Louis statues destroyed in St. Louis. The Catholic abolitionist saint is pulled down in Minneapolis. Are they going to change San Francisco's name, Los Angeles?
Right. And you bring up something. The producer who you were talking to before we did this interview to set it up, you said something that really struck me. You said, quote, "There is no end to historical purification." And that just seems like such a timely thing to say right now when we see what's going on all over the country. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, we should focus on changing hearts, not changing stone, because you can't. There's no end to it. You know, it's like the Taliban blowing up the Buddhist statues in Mamiyan. I mean, do we destroy the pyramids? They were built by slaves. The Acropolis in Athens. Do we destroy the Colosseum in Rome that was built by slaves, and slaves fought and died inside the Colosseum? Do we let mobs with sledgehammers go into Westminster Abbey and trash the statues of the kings and queens? The British Empire had slavery until the 1830s. There's no end in sight. And that was Marx's whole idea when they came to power in what became the Soviet Union. They went into the holiest church in Moscow and turned it into a stable and brought cows and brought horses inside because they wanted the manure and they wanted to make the statement to the people, old is bad, everything's going to be new now, and we're going to clean it all up. The history books were rewritten. Some of the old people in Russia right now are discovering Cossacks. It's all over TV. And the old people are saying, that never existed, that never happened. But the young people have discovered this part of history that had been erased by the communists. That looks like where we're headed. And I'm an old guy, so I'll be gone. I won't have to witness it.
Well, you bring up such a great point that just so many of us, it's so important to learn history so that we know what we're witnessing and we understand the changes that people are trying to accomplish right now, and the ways that they're doing them don't always work. Doug Wead, thank you so much for your time today, and happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you, Alicia.
Thank you. Leland.
Oh, there's